want to bring in Jamil Jaffer. He's the founder and executive director of the National Security Institute. He's also the former associate White House counsel to President George W. Bush. Jamil, good to have you with us. So I want to start with something the New York Times is reporting, saying the White House has held back on supplying some weapons that could strike Russian forces across the border, like rocket artillery, ground attack planes, and medium-range drones. So do you think the U.S. has been too cautious? The White House should be supplying Ukraine with those kinds of weapons, or is this a wise strategy?
Look, I think we haven't done enough here. Obviously, we're seeing the huge amounts of refugees, 12 million around the globe, 7 million inside of Ukraine, 7+ million outside of Ukraine, 5 million outside of Ukraine, thousands of civilians killed, schools, hospitals targeted by the Russian military. We've heard the reports of rape and forced killings. I mean, we've got to do more. And yes, allowing the Ukrainians to directly push back against the Russians in Russia who are attacking Ukraine needs to be something we need to be supplying to them immediately. The idea that it's going to up the ante in the war, we're already supplying them with tons of weapons. We need to allow them to defend themselves effectively.
Beyond weapons, intelligence is also at the center of some debate. For example, about how much information the U.S. should give Ukrainians about bases inside Russia. Why isn't the U.S. sharing everything it can with Ukraine?
Well, look, I think the president and his national security advisor are concerned about upping the ante in this war and getting the Russians more engaged. But the reality is the Russians began to see illegal invasion of Ukraine. They're the ones who've doubled down. They're the ones who attacked civilians. If we're really going to be on the side of the Ukrainians and defend the Ukrainian people and help them defend themselves, we have to give them every advantage. That means weapons. That means intelligence. And it may mean at some point, enough is enough. We need to get involved militarily. We haven't been willing to go down that road yet. We need to do more then if we're not going to do that in terms of intelligence and weapons. We're not doing enough now.
There's also always the possibility, this new push by Russia into eastern Ukraine, that it fails or that it stalls. If that happens, then what can we expect next from Russia?
Well, one of the big concerns is that Vladimir Putin is going to continue to double and triple down on his current strategy, which is to starve the Ukrainian people out, try to bring the penalties of this war, their own heroic defense of their own nation, to them individually. You heard the reports of people being starved out with water and food being cut off. Right, you're likely to see more of that to come, and you're likely to see more of the targeting of civilian population. This is something we simply cannot accept happening in the heart of Europe. We have got to push back. Simply imposing sanctions and calling these words out is not enough. The American people and our government need to do more to help the Ukrainian people and bring this conflict to a rapid end.
What more can be done, though, do you think? I mean, what's the number one thing you would like to see done right now?
Well, look, I think that we should have long been involved on the ground ourselves, providing direct support to Ukrainians. Clearly, the president is not prepared for that. So short of that, we need to provide them the kind of intelligence you were talking about, the kind of weaponry that you just heard Aaron report about, and the like, the kind of things that we have not yet been willing to give them, even as we've increased our support to them. Look, Vladimir Putin has set the tone for this conflict all the way through. We need to take the advantage back. The Ukrainian people have done that on behalf of the world. It's now up to us to really give them the support they need to help them heroically defend their nation as they have thus far.
Jamil Jaffer, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.